Hello and welcome back to the NWR Virtual Healthcare Conference. My name's Matt Wright. Next up, we have Aroa Biosurgery, which is listed under the ticker at the ASX ticker ARX. And joining us from the company is the CEO, Brian Ward. Before we get started, I'll again remind everyone, if you have a question that comes up during the session, please feel free to type it in using the Q&A panel within Zoom. And with that, Brian, I'll hand it over to you.
Great, thank you, Matt, and thanks everyone for joining today. I'm going to go through just a quick company overview, and as Matt said, happy to take questions at the end of it. So just a quick overview of Aroa. So we're a well-established high-growth soft tissue regeneration company. We have 4 product families that are commercial that we're selling in the US, predominantly selling into hospitals through a direct sales team. All of our products are based on our proprietary Aroa ECM technology platform. So this is a tissue regeneration technology differentiated by the rate of tissue formation, the lack of complications with this technology, and the ability to lower the cost of care for treating patients. So we have a family of products that are already on the market. We're also able to leverage this technology platform for developing new products, which are line extensions for our existing products, but also into other areas of soft tissue regeneration as well. This tissue technology is also included in our Enivo technology platform, which I'll talk about further in the presentation. For the products that are currently on the market, the total addressable market is in excess of $2.5 billion in the US. We sell through 2 channels. So through our own direct US sales team, so we have a team of 41 direct sales people, and we have 8 inside sales reps, and then we have the support and management structure around that. We also sell through our commercial partner, Bio in the US. So they're a NASDAQ-listed medtech company. They've licensed from us the rights to commercialize our products for hernia repair and breast reconstruction. This is a well-established soft tissue regeneration technology, and we have treated 5.5 million patients with this technology. So, and most of those patients have been in the US, so very well established. The technology is very well validated. We have a large body of scientific evidence that is behind this, so over 40 peer-reviewed publications. We now have regulatory approval in over 50 countries and 15 countries where we're selling through local distributors. We have a second technology platform that we've been working on over the last 3 or 4 years, and this is our Enivo tissue apposition platform. So this is a device and technology that's used for managing a problem called dead space. So this is where a cavity is left in tissue and needs to be closed and managed so you don't get downstream complications. So it's a new technology, and I'll talk a little bit about that further in the presentation. All up, we have over 270 personnel. So of those, 70 are based in the US, and then the balance being based in New Zealand. In New Zealand, we have manufacturing, development, marketing, and a corporate function. The US operations predominantly focused around sales. So just in terms of guidance for this year, we're running up to the end of March for our full year. Product guidance is $60 to $62 million. So that's growing from $39 million in product revenue last year. Forecast product gross margin 84%, and we expect to be at a break even on an EBITDA basis, and to finish the year with a cash balance of around about $50 million. So I just want to quickly go through our different product families and talk about some highlights. So we've been saying for some time that Myriad was going to be the major growth driver. Myriad's tracked very well for us, so we've been delighted to see the growth that we've had with Myriad. And that's, so it's predominantly in soft tissue reconstruction. We've had a lot of success in podiatric surgery, in trauma surgery, and in treatment of some of the inflammatory skin conditions. So seeing really nice adoption of Myriad coming through. There's 2 formats of Myriad. There's a a matrix format, which is a sheet format, and a powdered version that we call Myriad Morsels. This is a conformable graft. We now have over about 60% of our sales are coming through in Myriad Morsels. We're finding that surgeons really like Myriad Morsels. They like the way it conforms into the wound, but notably, the persistence of this product is quite different from what they've seen with other powdered-based products, and they like that persistence, and they're seeing this very much as a different kind of product that they've been used to with powder formulations. We've expanded our sales team, so we're just at 41 now, and so we're at the full quota that we said that we'd put in place this year. Sales productivity continues to track upwards. We'll do an update on accounts and run rates per rep in our full year update at the end of April. Myriad Master Clinical Registry is also progressing well. So this is a registry study that's been set up to really interrogate the efficacy of the Myriad product range in a wide range of soft tissue reconstructions, and also to be able to look at some specific procedures and benchmark how Myriad's performing in those procedures. So good progress with this in terms of recruitment and both bringing on patients, but also bringing on new sites. We have a new formulation of the Myriad Morsels product coming out in April. So this will be a much finer version, probably more akin to some of the other powder formulations. We see this product being used in combination with our Myriad Matrix product, that there's a good opportunity to drive growth there next year. And we have a pipeline of clinical studies coming through in terms of publications over the next 6 months or so. So, overall with Myriad, tracking according to plan, and we've been, delighted to see the traction that we've got with Myriad over the last 12 months. Symphony, so this is a new product for us. It's predominantly focused on use in diabetic foot ulcers and venous leg ulcers. This is a product that falls into the CTP reimbursement category. So there's a lot of change that's potentially happening in this area. We see this as a product that is very well positioned to capitalize on that change. And so those changes in reimbursement were mooted last year. Towards the end of last year, they've been postponed, for further consultation. Irrespective of that, we see ourselves launching this product in April and to be well positioned when those changes come down the line. So it's very much like our Myriad product, but in addition to having our Aroa ECM, it includes hyaluronic acid. And so this is really like Myriad on steroids. It's for those patients that have severely impaired healing, really stacking the odds in their favor to help heal some of these complex and chronic wounds. In terms of clinical studies with Symphony, all of the benefits that we see with Myriad and Endiform, we would expect to carry through for Symphony, but we're also doing some additional studies. So we're setting ourselves up for an RCT study in diabetic foot ulcers, and we have a study running in the US at the moment with 50 patients looking at the use of Endiform in combination with Myriad Matrix, with Symphony. Ovatex, Ovatex tends to, is tracked very well. Tela Bio just reported their full year result today. Sales up 41% on last year, so great result. And if you've listened into that, their announcement also, increased guidance for next year to 60 to 65. So, the growth of Ovatex, continues to be strong, and we're seeing, good adoption by surgeons of this technology. Good clinical data has been published on this. So Bravo 1 showing a much lower rate of recurrence in complex hernia, and then Bravo 2, or the Rebar study, the use of Ovatex in robotic surgery, and again, extremely low recurrence rates. Typically in these procedures with the standard of care, recurrence rates can be anywhere between 10 and 30%. So, these extremely low recurrence rates are just over 2% are unprecedented. We continue to develop products for TELA, so we're working on line extensions for them, and some new products that we think in hernia and breast are really going to make a difference. Our Endiform product, continues to be, a large part of our revenue at the moment, but, we see this as a low growth opportunity for us at the moment. Most of this is serviced through our inside sales team. And then Enivo. So Enivo, we submitted to the FDA in November. We've had some interaction with the FDA over this submission. I think that's been a constructive process. I don't have any update that I can announce at this stage, but we're encouraged by how this is progressing through the review process. We're setting ourselves up for a pilot clinical study with Enivo, so that will begin in April, so very close to kicking that off. And so this is 10 patients in mastectomy, looking at preventing post-surgical seroma and complications in mastectomy. We've previously published a preclinical model with Enivo demonstrating very good efficacy in terms of seroma prevention and prevention of downstream complications. So, as a technology, we think this is a huge opportunity for the company. The total addressable market, based on our estimates, is in excess of $1 billion. It fits very nicely with our existing Aroa ECM products. So many of the procedures where our products are used have complications with dead space, have complications that result from seroma formation. We believe that the use of this technology in combination with our products is going to reduce complication rates, but also increase the rate and quality of healing in those patients, and therefore lead to better outcomes. So we're very excited about this. We also see this first product as being the first product in a whole family of products. So, products that are specifically designed for a range of different procedures. And so a lot of potential here for Enivo. Other operational highlights. At the moment, we are upgrading our tissue processing facility. So earlier in the year, we expanded our downstream manufacturing. This is all the fabrication side for our products. We now have enough capacity there for in excess of $150 million in revenue. We're now matching that in our tissue processing facility. That expansion is expected to continue into and through the rest of this year. Ex-US, we've had further approvals for Myriad Matrix in Brazil, and recently we were awarded a GPO contract for Endiform through HealthPro. And then more recently than that, we were awarded a contract with Premier in the US, which is a large GPO organization there. So all up, with GPO coverage in the US, we probably now have over 90% of hospitals in the US where we are covered by their primary GPO. From a patent perspective, we're continuing to update our patent portfolio, push both on the Aroa ECM side, but also on the Enivo side, to continue to file patents to protect our technology, and ensure that the new improvements that we're making are covered on our technology. So just to sort of summarize, in terms of catalysts and milestones, I think the big driver for value at the moment is just the traction in terms of sales, both on the Aroa side and on the TELA Bio side. Symphony launch is something to look forward to this coming year. We expect sales to be relatively modest in the first year, but we think there's a huge opportunity for Symphony in the future. Enivo, now tracking through that process with the FDA, and hope to be able to bring some more news on that certainly in April. And then, COVID, I mean, we're now certainly seeing hospitals operate more efficiently in the US, still not quite back to normal, but, certainly on a quarter by quarter basis, good improvement. So, pleased with how that's gone. We certainly don't see, COVID as a issue or an excuse for, in terms of performance now. So, overall, very happy with how that's tracking. So, Matt, that's it from me. Happy to pass it back to you.
Great, thanks, Brian. I'll jump into some questions. Just as a reminder, once again, if anyone has a question, please feel free to type it in using the Q&A panel within Zoom. The first question that came through, actually, you were just touching on there, Brian, but maybe you can give a little bit more detail just around that you were quite hamstrung in the US due to COVID. Can you just give it maybe a little bit more detail on the dynamic now for your salespeople when it comes to dealing with hospitals in the system there?
Yeah, I think now we're seeing access to hospitals for our reps not be an issue. I think we're seeing certainly on the products that we're selling directly, those procedures are happening, so they're not being postponed. So, part of that's the nature of the procedures as well, in that they're acute procedures. So they tend to be done, within a very, very short space of time. But, we're just seeing hospital systems, theatres function in a better state. There's still quite a backlog on the teleside in terms of, hernia repairs, and there may still be some constraints there in terms of, theatre time. I think if you go back 12 months or so ago, certainly we saw some big issues around, materials management, logistics in hospitals, getting our products on the formulary with hospitals, just the administrative side of things. The hospitals were really struggling with, just the operational aspects. That's improved, not back to 100%, but certainly, not the same sort of challenges that we had even 6 months ago. So, I'd say we're not back to the full pre-COVID state, but we're certainly 85-90% of the way there. And from our perspective, certainly things are in a good enough state for us to be able to grow the business, as we expect to do.
Great. And can you please speak a little bit to the competitive landscape for the company and your salespeople?
Yeah, so I think what's really interesting for us is we're now, we've had the whole Aroa family in the market for 10 years or so, and we've launched a range of different products. So we started off in chronic wounds, diabetic ulcers, venous ulcers with Endiform. We've had Ovatex in the market. We've now had Myriad Matrix in the market, and so we have a lot of experience with these products and these technologies. And there's a few things that are really starting to stand out about this technology. And so 3 things I'd say are really important. The first thing is that, the Aroa ECM technology, and this sort of carries through to all of our products, what we tend to see is faster rates of healing. And so those faster rates of healing translate to, benefit for the patient, benefit for the surgeon, and that, they can advance. If it's a secondary procedure, they can do that quicker, they can get the patient home. So, but, those faster rates of healing are really important. The second thing is a very low complication rate. And so some of these implant materials, be they synthetic or biologics, have an inherent level of complications that go with them. And that's, I think that's partly the procedure as well. What we're seeing with the Aroa ECM technology products is the complication rates are very low. And so, and that sort of seems to be something that's a theme across the whole portfolio. So, if you have complications, that's extra procedures, that's extra time for the patient, and that's cost. And so, we seem to be winning on that. I think the third thing is a lower overall cost of care for the patient, and for the hospital and for the surgeon, really. So, generally our products are priced so that they're more affordable. So, 30% less expensive than products have typically been in this category. We think these products are rationed and, we know they're only used on the most severe patients. we think there's an enormous opportunity for these products to be used more broadly and to accelerate healing for patients, to allow them to overcome these wounds much quicker. And, there's cost savings in that, there's benefits for the patients in that. So, making these products affordable, you're able to lower the cost of care and improve outcomes for patients. So, if I take those three things, faster healing, lower complications, lower cost of care, I think we have a really strong competitive position. And the great thing is we're beginning to really build the evidence base around that now. And that translates into all the products.
Yeah, excellent. The question that's come through next was, how are R&D expenses tracking from last year? On a previous call, they weren't expected to rise significantly from FY22 levels.
Yeah, look, we'll announce that in the April update. The R&D expenses are something that we've been very mindful of. They're pretty much tracking in line with our budget. They will be a little bit up on last year, but not in a really material way.
Very good. The next question is, can you give some further perspective on how big you think Enivo could be?
Yeah, it's a tricky one to size because it's a whole new class of technology. And so the way we've looked at this is there's a bunch of different procedures where there's a certain complication rate and there's a strong justification for using this type of product. So we've looked at all of those opportunities and said, hey, we'll look in this procedure, maybe it's 10% of patients, maybe it's 15% in this, maybe it's 20% in that, and then just sum all those up. And I think on a first cut of that, it's certainly in excess of $1 billion. And so then we've sort of discounted that back saying, well, look, it may not turn out exactly as we believe. And so I think $1 billion is a pretty reasonable estimate. I think my experience previously, and I think we'll find that here, is that we'll be surprised. There'll be some areas where we haven't predicted that it'll be used, and it will be. And some of those areas where we do think it'll be used, maybe it won't be quite so successful. But I think, the fact that we've summed this all up, we've discounted it back, I think $1 billion is a reasonable estimate. The other thing is, I think, we're kind of more and more convinced of this. We see this as very complementary to our existing products, and we see that developing the evidence to show that it doesn't just reduce the complication rates, but it actually improves the rate and quality of healing, and therefore leads to a better long-term outcome. We think that can really drive the use of Enivo in a much more prophylactic way. So I think short answer is, I think $1 billion is a reasonable estimate as a starting point.
Great. And following on from that, another question on Enivo was, how much money has been spent on it so far? And if you take out that spend, what does the adjusted EBITDA figure look like for this financial year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I can't give you the exact numbers, but I think it's something that maybe people don't appreciate, but if we backed out our expenditure on Enivo, Aroa would already be a very profitable company. And so this is, our intent around Enivo is there's two things. One is to improve our long-term competitive position and differentiation from other products in the market, and really significantly change the scale of the opportunity for the company and give ourselves a very strong, two very strong platforms that we think can drive growth for the future. So, we've consciously made that decision. We've shouldered the R&D expense of that at an early stage in the company's development. But, if you were to back that out, then, Aroa would already be profitable. And, certainly in the short term, a lot of, opportunity for growth.
And just one final one, Brian, I know you expanded the capacity at the facility in Auckland a little while ago now. What sort of percentage capacity are you operating at the facility these days?
Yeah, so look, we're certainly less than 50%. We're probably 40-50% of capacity. Yeah, I think the other thing, one of the things on that, and we've seen this this year in terms of the margin improvement. So I think, beginning of the year, we were forecasting margin in the high 70s. I think it was 77%. That's gone to 84. And so, that improvements come, a lot of that improvements come through process improvement. And, I think that goes to capacity as well. So, at the moment, it's the facility is probably about $150 million. I think at the beginning of the year, we thought it was $100 million. And I think those process improvements have delivered that extra capacity. And, we'd sort of expect that to happen as we mature the manufacturing processes as well. So, we would expect to be able to extract more capacity out of that facility over time with further process improvements.
Great. Well, we'll leave it at that for today, Brian. Thanks very much for taking the time to give us the latest on Aroa.
Great. Thanks, Matt. And thanks, everyone, for joining the call.
No worries. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye.